My name's Adam Manaka and I'm the Financial Controller for High Tech Oils. With our national capacity, we can now service Australian companies nationwide. Of late, we have now expanded into the New Zealand market. Here at High Tech Oils, we receive premium base oils and premium additive packs. Together, with our highly trained staff, we manufacture over 500 premium quality products. High Tech Oils is Australian made and Australian owned.
For the past 2 rounds of the Jacuzzi Spas Australian Production Cars Championship, it's this machine that's been front and centre of the racing and the broadcast. Grant Denyer, in fact, driving for 2 hours on the Sunday to take the win at Winton. So I thought we'd find out a little bit more about the fantastic Lotus. In order to do that, I'm talking with Simply Sports Cars' Mark O'Connor. Well done. It's been a good story, hasn't it?
Yeah, very pleased with the way the car's going. You know, it's new to us. We're still learning about how it behaves and how to get the best out of it. But clearly, with the 1, 2, 3 result at Winton, very happy. Drivers making a big difference, I think. That's helping us a lot. But very pleased with the way the car's going.
Mid-mounted engine. What have been the learnings that you talked about before?
A little bit about the ABS. Running on the hand-cooked tyres was something we'd never done before, so there was a few little handling things we had to get around like that. You know, setting it up ride height-wise, a bit different. These guys, I take it back to the workshop, I corner weight it, I get it all right, and then I come here and they keep wanting me to lower it at the back and all that sort of stuff, but not traditionally where we've run Lotuses in the past for all our other Targa customers and other race customers, so there's been a few things we've had to do different with it, yeah.
Have a look at this field assembled before us, Tony. Those guys touching on a couple of the stories that we're going to be looking into great depth over the next 4 hours. Tyres, fuel consumption, exhaustion.
Yeah, 4 hours is a long time.
It certainly is, and if they're going to grow these stints to 2 hours, there's going to be some tired drivers.
2.5 hours maximum per driver, so one's going to, if one goes a long stint, it'll be 2.5. Ryan Simpson and Tony D'Alberto starting from the front of the grid. Tim Lay and Jake Camilleri starting from positions 3 and 4. Grant Sherrin, the first driver in the BMW M4, the Sherrin Rentals car, that'll start from position number 5. Bob Pearson takes the steering wheel for the first stint in the Evo 10.
We go to Lachlan Gibbons in the WRX, and it's Jordan Cox in the number 29. Looking forward to seeing how the number 29 goes. Jack Miller on board his new Evo 10. Nathan Callahan, there's our big HSV tone.
Yes.
Look at the shot there. He's just popped out for us too, right at the right time. Say g'day everybody. Here's a bit of Aussie muscle, and there's some big encouragement to get these Aussie V8s while they're still around out in the grid next year. And away we go. Have a look at the four-wheel drive. Number 38, get away with Bob Pearson at the wheel. He has absolutely charged away from the line. He drops into 4th place as they head down through turn 1. Has anyone told Bob this is a 4-hour?
No, and Bob doesn't know anything other than just going hard, especially here at Sydney Motorsport Park, where he took 4 one-hour race wins last year.
Eric Linton there at the, Tim Lay at the wheel of the M3. He's just held up Bob there. He's held his charge through to the front there. We've got one of the M3s, or another one of the M3s just in the back of shot there. We'll get more details as they start to pan out a bit. There goes Lachlan Gibbons, and has Bob Pearson got a flat?
Oh,
Has he got a left front flat tyre?
Yeah, slowed down.
He's going back.
No doubt about
He's going
that.
backwards, definitely. Has he peeled a tyre off the rim? He got off the line that hard. Wow. There we go. We look back down through the field. There's the Nailers. There's Nathan Callahan in the HSV. Miller in the High Tech Oils Stokes skis outfit. Getting rid of the Evo 9. And then the last week or so buying the old CXC Global Evo 10. And really, really wisely running with Dylan Thomas as the co-driver. Dylan Thomas, of course, was in a controversial race here a number of years ago. And then we're going to go 3 wide. There's Bob Pearson. He's definitely going backwards, isn't he? Got the front of the car bobbing around there. That's a horrible start to a 4-hour race. He got away magnificently, and he's hurt the car somehow.
Yeah, Nathan Callahan going past him just a second ago as if he was standing still. There's Miller in the number 20. That is, of course, Jason Miller shares it with Dylan Thomas. in the Stokes Skis Australia car. We should mention too that the number 15, the Race for a Cure, Mitsubishi Evo 10 with the Kavich brothers in there, starting from pit lane in the race. It had a bit of a gearbox issue, I think, yesterday. Didn't qualify.
Yeah, they didn't get in qualifying, did they? They've had to get some dispensation to get out in this race and get a position in this. Here's the M4.
Bob Pearson's come into pit lane.
Here's the M4 out after the M3. These BMWs have got to not battle with each other, work with each other in this early stage of the race, and not let these Lotuses get away.
Front left looks like the issue, as you called it, Daz, for Bob Pearson. Car's raised now, and they're working on that front left tyre.
Oh, big lock-up in the number 1 car there, rear tyre lock-up. Wow, that's a bit early. This is a little bit frantic early stages for this 4 hour. There's some drivers that need to take a bit of a deep breath and consider what's going on. Having said that, I've just been encouraging the two BMWs to work with each other to get onto the back of the Lotuses, haven't I?
Yeah, you certainly have. And Lockie Gibbons in the WRX, the Subaru, up there as well. Pearson tyre change and back out again for the Evo 10.
He won't go down a lap either. He'll get back out. He's a long, long way behind, but he's not going to go down a lap. So that's very important. Now we're going to see some quick laps. Bob will be angry. And Bob worked up. It's not worked up, really. It's quite relaxed, isn't it? But behind the wheel, he'll apply all of his years of knowledge.
They've had some bad luck, haven't they?
Yeah.
In that car. They didn't race at Queensland Raceway.
They've had some good luck, too.
They've had some good luck, for sure.
That's down at Conroy Motorsport. They're watching the number 84.
Here comes Grant Sherrin, just not close enough. So down to Greg Rust in pit lane. Rusty.
Boys, I've just wandered into the product pit. Initially, there was kind of some raised eyebrows. They wondered if it was a valve issue or something. But the team tell me now they believe there was some contact with Tim Lay in the early part of that race, and that contact may be what triggered the puncture for Bob Pearson.
Yeah, that one will be fought out for a long time to come, I would suggest. It's going to take replay after replay at the start line to see that. Bob was rapid off the line.
Oh,
absolutely rapid. So I'm not sure how much Tim Lay would have even played into that.
I actually think the only thing Bob hit off the start line was the sound barrier. Unfortunately for Grant Sherrin, he probably feels that the longer he stays behind Tim, the further ahead the Lotuses are getting at the moment. There is now a good 10-second gap between Ryan Simpson in first place and Tim Lay back in fourth.
The fact that Ryan Simpson has got himself, 2.5 second gap over Tony D'Alberto says to me that Tony D'Alberto and Grant Denyer have set a lap time. That's the lap time that they're going to stick to. And Tony D'Alberto, being a pro, will have agreed to that strategy, and that's now what he's going to do. Still wringing the neck of the 350.
Colin Osborne on screen.
One of our better production car endurance strategists and racers is Colin Osborne.
Sharing that car that he has at the moment, the 31 with Cal Jones, who's out there. C-Class, they're currently running third in that class. Blake Orban with his brother, currently leading C-Class in their Renault Megane.
As our race leader comes up onto the back of Bob Pearson now, these are the guys battling it out for 4th and 5th. And we're sticking with it because this really is the battle in the race, albeit that our race leader is trying to dispatch with the product Evo 10.
Oh, this time maybe Grant Sherrin. Good move, stayed up on the inside through the hairpin. Has he got the pace now to out-drag Tim Lay down into turns 11 and back into the straight? He has. He's got it done. The two German-marked cars, the BMWs, the M4, just finally gets in front of the M3 and now will start to use its pace to chase down those Lotuses.
I don't think Tim Lay's going to lie down at that.
No, I'm sure he won't.
In fact, I think Tim Lay might put the switch the old strategic brain on and just run with this now. I guess right up until the temp gauge starts to work its way up, because it would have been in the M4 after so many laps jammed up behind in the stalled air behind the M4.
So you don't expect Tim to lay down?
No, at all. Never. This car we're looking at now, James Keane at the wheel of number 50, and it's down to the lane with Cam.
Well, I thought I'd grab Dean Lilly. We were talking about you just a minute ago and how you're managing a driver like Ryan Simpson at this point of the race. Lap times are about 2-3 seconds off what he can do in the car. Do you set him a target time, or is it just managing, trusting him to manage the car throughout the stint?
Yeah, he's pretty good at that. He's always got some up his sleeve if we need to push hard, but at the moment we don't. We've got a 6-second lead. We're just trying to, look after the car, really. It's a long race.
But you've been looking at his sector times as well. He's been actually quite quick whilst managing the car.
Yeah, it's starting to seesaw a bit now because we're getting into the traffic and that's starting to come into play, but that's part of this racing too, is managing the traffic and picking your way through. He's going good.
Ryan Simpson leading the way on the Foot Morris Finance leaderboard. Tony D'Alberto and Jake Camilleri, welcome back to Australian Production Car Championships after taking numerous of his own in Class C, I think it was, in the Mazda MPS and the Mazda 3 before that. Very handy man to have on board with Adam Hargraves. They've recently taken on that car from Tony Orford. Tony and Kyle Orford did a really strong job at Winton, and in the meantime have sold that car on. And Jake Camilleri doing the co-driving role at the moment at the wheel of that Lotus, doing a really strong job. Never seen it before this weekend.
Love seeing the difference between the little Lotus and the big Commodore right behind it. It is
graphic, isn't it? It is graphic just to watch.
David and Goliath stuff, isn't it?
Yeah. Ryan Simpson doing what Ryan Simpson does absolutely best out there at the moment.
Just drives fast.
Yeah. Get out there. Don't make any mistakes, mate. You know he won't. It's almost like you don't even have to say it to him. Here's the car getting ready for Shane Smollen to get on board. There goes Muller, using a driver assistant rather than the co-driver helping out. It's a lot more difficult than it looks. When you've got a helmet on with a chin strap, you just actually cannot see down there.
Bob Pearson in for a stop as well. That's happening just behind the Muller-Smollen car. And it looks like a driver change as well as Rick Bates makes his way around to the side of the car. Greg Rust down in pit lane. You there, Rusty?
I thought we'd try and clear up just what happened at the start, because obviously that was an unscheduled stop for Bob Pearson. There was some contact, you feel?
Yeah, Beric gave me a touch-up and turned to rip the valve out of the wheel.
The rest of the car is okay,
yeah,
Bob, once
good.
you change the tyre?
Yeah, all good, just delayed us a bit, that's all.
And now that Rick's behind the wheel, will you leave him in for a good stint, or what's the plan here?
Oh, well, I'll go in after him and then I'll leave him in for a long last one.
Okay, thank you.
Tim Lay's just had it off.
And a deflating right front tyre as well. That's a first sign here. Right tyres, of course, do the load very similar to Sandown.
Tim Lay around the final turn now, goes to the extreme left of the track and brings it into pit lane.
Well, you remember the green Lotus in the Fight in the Night popped a side out of a tyre?
Correct.
And that's what is going to tear the inside wall of the tyre out.
So Tim Lay brings the car in 8th place after losing a couple of spots from that puncher. He jumps out.
Tim Lay's obviously got something he wants to relay to Beric Linton, down to Greg Rust right on the spot.
Beric's getting strapped in. I'll see if we can quickly grab Tim here on the hop. What happened?
Mate, I don't know. I was just going down the straight and felt the wheel vibration and then the right front went down. So I'm not sure what's happened there or how I've got to punch it. But anyway, we'll get it off and find out. But yeah, we were struggling a bit for speed anyway. So the engine seems a bit down, seems a bit soft. Mightn't like the heat, but anyway.
Got Grant Denyer looking a bit fresher than the last time I spoke to you after your win at Winton. You're sitting in second at the moment. Is Tony just driving to a number?
No, we're going about as fast as we can go at the moment. I think the Simpson car has just got a fraction more speed on us, and they're just sort of controlling the lead, which you expect them to do. It's a smart thing to do. 4 hours is a long way around in a production car, and having seen that tyre just blow the end, that's probably our biggest concern. So we're staying off curbs, not hitting any of those, sawtooth curbs particularly, and I think the tyre life is probably going to be one of the biggest factors in the race today. So, we haven't shown our full potential just yet. That's for the last hour of the race.
Oh, we can see on screen that it looks like a flat right rear for the Lotus of Jake Camilleri. So once again, the right-hand side getting a belting as we head back down to Greg Rust.
Tony, this is odd. So as you can see, car 20 is in the High-Tech Oils Mitsubishi. It too has lost a right front tyre. We've got a slightly warmer spring day, I guess here is a lot of this kind of contributing to it. This is not expected for the 20, that's for sure.
This is the story, though. These guys have gone working side tyres. I didn't see a driver change there with the M4. We're a little bit far away. It is Ian Sherrin now behind the wheel. So Grant started. So at 1 hour and 4, they've come in for working side tyres and a driver change. So we're going to see this twice more in the race now at hour 2 and hour 3. Down to Rusty in the lane.
I'm just here with Mark O'Connor from Simply Sports Cars. He and the Mark Cars team are just having a look at this tyre that's come off the Lotus. Firstly, what's your assessment, and are you confident that the other cars will be okay? You feel like this is unrelated symptoms that won't affect the car of Simpson and Denyer?
Yeah, it's interesting. No, we're a bit worried about the right rear tyre, so it's good to see this one come off the car and check it out. But the outside edge is what we're worried about, and it's not too bad. This one's let go on the inside, so a little bit odd. Not sure. We've instructed our guys to make sure they're not running over the curbs and catching the inside sawtooth, so I'm not sure whether the black car was doing the same thing. But, it's a bit unusual to see it fail on that side of the wheel.
We'll be back trackside in just a few moments.
So Ryan Simpson remains our leader, 7.3 seconds. The margin between himself and Tony D'Alberto. And then everyone is at least, well, Jake Camilleri 1.7 laps down. The rest of the field have been lapped twice.
So Chris Lillis now on board. Hargraves out. Lillis in, the number 64. There we go. That's what you see with a HSV, a black hat and a black driving suit. Flames on the helmet.
On a 24-degree day.
Yep.
Our leaders have come in. We've got a Lotus into the lane of Ryan Simpson, making his way down pit lane now as we have Ian Sherrin on screen. Currently 5th at the moment. There it is, our leading Lotus. 1 hour 25 in.
All 4 tyres pumped up and operating. So Dean Lilly's paranoia about that right-hand rear. Ryan Simpson away, just strolling away. Stretch the hands and the legs.
Tim Policina just a little bit more trouble getting in. Good time to go through our classes, Daz, and inform our listeners as to where people are. We've spoken fairly heavily about A1. That's Tony D'Alberto, Jim Policina, and Jake Camilleri. They're our top 3 in that category. Ian Sherrin currently 4th. Rick Bates in 5th place overall. They are our 5 top A1 cars. As we mentioned, Scott Turner in B1 in the BMW, leading that category ahead of Russell and Martins. Down into A2, Chris Lillis, the car there, and the big Commodore he shares with Nathan Callahan, the lead car in A2. We make our way to C-Class, and it's Kyle Orban leading that category in the Renault Megane, ahead of Colin Osborne. A 43-second gap between those 2 cars. Down in D-Class, it's the number 84 class of Jerry Burgess at the wheel at the moment, and Jason Walsh in the Kia Proceed, leading D category. And down into E-Class, it is James Brock leading that class, but the only car yet to make a pit stop.
As we go down to pit lane with Cap.
Guys, there's the tyre there. If you look up on the screens, you'll be able to see the tyre that's come off the back of Ryan Simpson's car. I've got Ryan here. Sorry, Dean, I'm just jumping in and grabbing him very quickly. Mate, great stint from you. And the tyre, whilst it's graining, you just held on for you.
Yeah, it looks like it's getting pretty close to wearing out. I heard a couple of other cars were wearing out there, so I just wasn't leaning. It's the right rear that we're having trouble with. Just wasn't leaning on the right rear, and it's just survived. So it's touch and go.
Oh, there's another flat. That's the product car. A right front flat.
Front right again.
Yeah, and that is that's only gone flat. That's not a puncture. That hasn't caused any horrendous damage yet. They've caught that before it makes any nuisance of itself.
And we can see the Green Lotus making its way down into pit lane. We can see on screen now Grant Denyer, visor down, ready to go. Let's head down to Greg Rust in pit lane. Rusty, you there?
As you'd expect from someone of Tony D'Alberto's calibre and the great work that he does for DJR Team Penske, he is bang on the marks here in pit lane. They have some blue tape set out for exactly where they want the car to pull up, the pit box that they've created. There's a sense of calm from Tony D'Alberto. He gives Grant the thumbs up. We'll wander in while the refueling continues. Mark O'Connor talking to the crew. They now go to work with the jack. How do you feel?
Oh, not too bad. Sort of conserving a little bit there, trying to look after the car. But it's reasonably hot out there. So, yeah, it's over to Grant now for a good stint.
Here's car number 5, which is currently 3rd. So taking the last spot of the podium. Still got Jake Camilleri at the wheel here. So Adam Hargraves hasn't jumped in here yet. So this has been a mega stint for Jake Camilleri. Although he's been in the lane once already. He continues on his merry way as Greg Rust continues to follow the stories from the lane.
So our cameraman Shane focused on the right rear, and as you know, 5 studs on these BMWs. I'm not great with math, but that only looks like 4 to me. So they've had an issue with the studs, and that I think perhaps explains the way or why the car is feeling the way it is at speed when Berwick's driving it, and particularly when you're hooking left around Sydney Motorsport Park.
Jim Policina back in the lane. Actually, Jake Camilleri in that car at the moment.
They're just having a look at the tyres. That's what they're doing, wandering out and peering over what's happening with their opposition. This is the first of the Lotuses. In fact, the only Lotus that's had a bad tyre issue. So Jake Camilleri
handing it over to Adam Hargraves.
Right on that 2 minute. Sorry, that 2 hours.
Number 12. There's a
Cabbage goes round. Staying with the guys in his class there, gets it up and running again. And that's a real shame. They didn't get to qualify for this, so they've had to, that's Michael Cabbage at the wheel currently, they've had to get special dispensation, and he was running nicely with the cars in the class there just off the back of A1. And I wonder if they've got a deflating tyre, because that sort of looked like it was a clean, he wasn't doing it desperate, was he?
Well, turned in pretty early if that was a driver error.
Down to Cam in the pit lane.
Well, I stayed in the garage, and you said Jake might be wrung out. You're looking pretty good, Jake. That was a very good stint.
Yeah, I feel semi-fresh. No, it was a really, really, really hard stint. I think we must have touched a curb at the start, and I had a vibration and the rear tyre was going down. That's what the problem was, and that's when I think we just got an hour or so, and then we had to change tyres. So we double stinted a bit there, but yeah, we lost the gear pretty early in the piece, so we've been running 2nd, 4th gear everywhere, and it's been a bit of hard work just trying to keep momentum with that little thing. Steering's pretty heavy in that, so yeah, it worked me pretty hard. So Adam got his work cut out.
There he is, Berwick Linton, making his way back out onto the track, having been in pit lane for just under 28 minutes.
Here's stricken number 20A, the Miller Dylan Thomas car for High Tech Oils, just cruising back in. Looks like all its tyres are pumped up. This could be a mechanical problem, and if he's going to stop there, this could induce a safety car. So we're getting a word is that it could be a transmission problem.
That is
where
a
it is
safety
parked
car.
is going to induce a safety car. And, well, if he's got gear selection problems, he can't be blamed for that. He's pulled the car off the track. There'll be yellow flags being waved locally up there.
The safety car about to be released, just waiting for the leader to come into its sights. And there's the first of our cars in. The Green Lotus of Grant Denyer makes its way down pit lane. Right behind it, the number 12 car of Mark Griffith also coming down pit lane. So as we said, the leader is in Grant Denyer. You can see him there, petrol. Doesn't look like there's going to be a driver change though. Grant Denyer staying in the car, and he will do the full 2 hours that he is entitled to.
There we go down to pit lane with Cam.
They've just wheeled the 64 Class A2 entry of Lillis into the lane, into his garage. He's done a diff. They said it's been running hot all weekend. They thought it might have been a sensor, but no, they've actually done a diff. So they're trying to make that change now. The words that Lillis just said to me then were, the other A2 car didn't turn up today, so all we have to do is finish this race for this championship.
And the safety car has peeled off. We say goodbye to the Melbourne BMW safety car. and the race is back underway.
Yeah, it certainly is. I wouldn't mind getting a comment from either Rusty or Cam at some point too about the weather down there. Just popping our head outside our commentary box here a few minutes ago, and the temperature seems to have dropped markedly in the last half an hour to an hour or so, and I'm just wondering how cool it is, because obviously that's going to affect track temperature as well in regards to these cars have been running on a fairly high track temperature for the majority of the race, and I'm wondering how much it's going to affect them coming in this last hour if the temperature of the track drops a fair bit.
Yeah, well, it's going to help the tyre situation, that's for sure. It's going to enable the cars that are slightly questionable on tyres to do that.
So Grant Denyer remains our leader, and there is his car. We look for the number 7 car of Ryan Simpson as we head down to Rusty in pit lane. Rusty?
I just had a word with Mark O'Connor at the Lotus pit here, and he kind of smiled, but not in a great way, and said, look, that safety car couldn't have come at a worse time for us, because obviously Tony D'Alberto's stint was about an hour 45 before he stepped out and let Grant Denyer jump behind the wheel. They couldn't put him back behind the wheel during that safety car, so they will need to bid again and do a driver change for that car.
Here is a really good battle that's going to continue on this season. This is with Class A, Elliot Barber in the MG, Jimmy Vernon now at the wheel of the Echo. And if we cast our minds back to QR, these two cars not only had a bit of a coming together on the track, but there was a continued coming together back out in the pit lane as well, discussing how it played out with James Brock and Griffo.
Yes, correct. It comes in now. This won't be a 3-minute stop, I wouldn't have thought.
Has to be a quick driver change, so they'll check out the tyres clearly. They'll have to fuel it.
So there's not going to be too much fuel to be put in, if any.
No fuel.
No fuel, just a bit of a check of the pressures on the tyres.
Looking at the condition of the inside tyre wall.
Happy with that?
Yep. Looking around.
The right rear was always going to be the one that they were concerned about.
Yep. The guys looking as though they're pretty harassed there. So are they going to get the jack of the tyre? No. Tony D'Alberto completing that. The crew all back behind the line and being dispatched.
Come into the garage, mate. Come into the garage.
See you later.
Driver change done. What was the car like during the stint?
It was about 40 minutes ago, yeah. It just started to develop a really loud noise, like it sort of cracked a head or it's got an exhaust sort of problem. So that makes you a little bit nervous when you're out there, because I'm not very mechanical, so I don't know what it is. It just sounds like a truck. No power steering in these things, so my little toothpick arms struggle a little bit around here.
Disaster for the little MG. Elliot Barber stepping out of the car at the top of pit lane and is deciding that he's going to try and push it himself down pit lane. It ain't going nowhere. So where that is, Daz, is that a safety car position?
Yep.
I would have thought so.
Certainly is.
They're giving him a chance to get it going and get it moving, but I don't see that happening anytime soon.
No one's coming up to help him either, are they?
No.
They're saying to him, get out over the wall, get behind the first line of defence. So Elliot is stuck up there by himself, and it doesn't look like anyone's on their way.
It just looks like an issue as well, is it?
Yeah, that's Matt Thulis at the wheel there. He's driven so well this year. His car looks like it's retiring. He's acknowledging flaggies and so on and so forth around the track.
As we head down to Greg Rust, down in pit lane.
Well, let's see if we can find out what the problem is here. You guys have been chatting away. What's the issue?
Unfortunately, it's sheared the end off the drive shaft on the left-hand side, so it's looking like it's probably terminal for us. Given the time we've got left in the race, I don't think we're going to get another drive shaft in the car. It's probably collapsed the bearings and stuff as well, so I think, unfortunately, that's race over for us.
Kudos to the Sherrans here, Daz. They've been close enough to make sure, and we said it earlier on, didn't we, that they just had to be there in case something happened to one of these cars to give themselves a chance, and we're seeing it happen right here.
And it's buoying, I guess, the Sherrans. It's giving them a reason, to sort of go on, the gazumping of the Lotuses. And, if the Lotus there's an issue with it, it's clearly having a mechanical problem. But, they've got a 6-hour race that they're going to have to complete. If they can't get to the end of 4 hours, they've got some work to do. This is for a podium, so it's real. Adam Hargraves is going to defend. He's not just going to let him drive on by.
And I like the fact that he thinks he might be able to do that.
Yes.
At some point, you've got to concede that it ain't going to happen.
Yeah, Ian Sherran streams on by in the Sherran Rentals BMW M4. That is for a podium place. So it mixes the marks up on the podium now. It's 2 Lotuses and a BMW. 3.7 seconds between, 3.7 laps between Sharon and Simpson. That's not going to happen. But 1 lap now between Ryan Simpson and Tony D'Alberto. Tony D'Alberto has turned up the wick just a little bit. In fact, he set that fastest lap of the race for that car on lap 1:14. So the car's still strong. It's not ailing like the Hargraves car is at the moment. Oh, we've got a stopper.
Oh, goodness.
That's the Auburn car too. Leading Class C.
Yeah, it was.
And a lap up on the Naylor car. Oh, Hargraves now losing concentration. Lost a spot on the podium. Now starting to wane a bit in concentration there, going off the back of the ripple strip and doing it again there. So a little bit dejected behind the wheel, struggling to maintain composure. Safety car.
Yeah. Or is there more to it, Daz, than that? It might be concentration, or there may even actually be something pretty seriously wrong with that car.
As it peels off and accelerates away, let's hope that we tuck the Melbourne BMW M4 into bed and we don't unwrap it again until season 2019 when the Shannons Nationals comes back to the circuits of Australia. Been a fantastic 2018 as we go there now on green flag and they charge down the straight. There's a couple of loud sounding Lotuses out there. And the one that's doing the chasing sounds red hot to go. Look at the build-up on the exit of turn 1. If someone gets pushed wide there, they're going to struggle to stay on the track. The marbles, they're called that for a reason, because when you get on them, it's like going on a whole lot of marbles out there and it heads you off. I was trying to think of another word there, but that was exactly what it is. It's what they're called. And have a look at this. Ryan Simpson all over the back of a guy that's had a pro career in V8 supercars. They're in like machinery. We know Ryan did such a great job in GT3 Cup Challenge and Kumo V8 touring cars. He switches to the inside and just gazumps the green car. In fact, not gazumped. I think Tony D'Alberto opened up the steering wheel and went, well, you wanted that bad, buddy. You got a whole lap to make up in the next 15 minutes. All the best to you.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see how close you can get. We have Tony D'Alberto behind the lead car at the moment. It sits behind that white and black car, which is driven by Ryan Simpson. That is currently second. So the green car is actually in the lead. The white and black car is actually second place. A lap down, or unlapped himself now. Ian Sherrin in the BMW M4, currently in third place. The Green Lotus with 1 lap to go. As Tony D'Alberto, who's got a massive job ahead of him in 2 weeks' time, co-driving with one of the favourite cars for Dick Johnson Racing and Team Penske. He'll be sharing that car with Fabian Coulthard and hopefully adding a Bathurst win to these wins that he's had so far in the last couple of race meetings he's been to with the Lotus team. Simply Sports Cars and Just Cuts, a major sponsor of this car. As Tony D'Alberto brings it around for the last few turns. Ryan Simpson holds on to second. He crosses the line now. But our lead car and our winner makes its way down the main straight. Put your hands together for Tony D'Alberto and Grant Denyer, our winners of our 4-hour extravaganza here at Sydney Motorsport Park, and that one feels good for the team. Grant Denyer pumped, and so he should be. A big stint from him in the middle. And another #1 for these boys. They take the championship lead. Ryan Simpson bringing home the second Lotus Exige. Ian Sherrin sharing that BMW M4 with Grant Sherrin in third place. Jack Camilleri bringing home the Lotus in fourth. Rick Bates and Bob Pearson in fifth place. Dimitri Agathos in sixth. Thomas Muller seventh. Hadrian Morale in eighth place. As we flip the page, James Keane in the Volkswagen. In 11th, George Karadimas in the Big Falcon. 12th, Oliver Shannon in the Toyota 86. In 13th, Lee Naylor, Callum Jones, Jimmy Vernon, Matt Thalewis, Tim Lay, Blake Orban and Nathan Callahan in the Commodore. in 20th place.
When you heard the noise coming out from that engine, did you think you were going to be able to bring it home?
No, normally those things progress and get worse and worse and worse and suck more power and more power and more power from the engine. So you kind of feel like a sitting duck out there, and then you don't want it to sort of create more problems that are going to make you retire. So you spend the whole session just nervous as anything, and it's really good to bring it home.
We're out of time here at Sydney Motorsport Park. Thank you so much for being a part of the coverage. Huge thanks to our partner who've been doing it for many years now in Shannon's National, or Shannon's I should say, covering the Nationals. And a special one, of course, to the New South Wales government who supported also this final round. On behalf of all of our team, it's bye for now.
There's more to come after the break as we head to Queensland Raceway for round 3 of the High Tech Drift All-Star Series.